The Awakening, the Revised Edition by Lilac Moon, Chapter 5, Queen of the Angels. This is going to be a long one. In the months that had passed since Anakin's short leave, much had occurred. While the Jedi had many victories against the endless droid armies and their leaders, the war still raged on with no end in sight. But if he ever began to question why he was fighting, he only had to think of his beautiful wife and their plans for a future, which very much included raising a family. That was all it took, and his resolve to fight with everything he had was restored. But in the last few months, he had noticed the increasing amount of close calls he had had, and for once none of them had been due to his own recklessness. If he didn't think he was being paranoid, he would have concluded that it was the Sith Lord's top initiative to see that he did not live to see the end of the war. But that only made him more determined to fight not only to end the war, but to protect Padme as well. Just a couple of months ago, he nearly lost both Ahsoka and Padme when a mad scientist unleashed the Blue Shadow virus on Naboo. The deadly virus had infected them both, but they were fortunate enough to acquire the antidote in time and be able to contain the virus. Faced with losing his angel to an illness, something he was unable to combat with any of his skills had been frightening. But he had also been faced with losing Ahsoka, and it was then that he realized that he loved her like a daughter. He knew that if Obi-Wan knew of his attachment towards Ahsoka, not to mention Padme, he'd be facing a lecture. And if he ever knew that Anakin had broken the code by marrying Padme, he'd face the Council's scrutiny. Padme was his life, and he would never let her go, as they would probably order him to. He just hoped that when the time came, Ahsoka would understand his commitment to Padme, and she wouldn't turn away from him. He didn't want to lose her either. It was these thoughts and times like this, in the early morning hours when he was alone in the sleep of the cabin of the ship, that he often composed data letters to Padme. Normally such thing would be too risky and dangerous, but thanks to R2's skillful abilities, he was able to send them to her through him. And he transmitted them to her personal datapad, one that she kept locked in her bedside table. R2 also used a different encryption code each time as well. It was probably still a little risky, but their correspondence was worth it. But sometimes it was all they had. To go months without seeing each other was just unbearable, and their love letters made it just a little less excruciating. Once he'd started this, there was no stopping. He loved scripting letters to her, especially since she lived to receive them, finding them incredibly romantic, and also a way to at least know he was okay. My sweet Padme. It is once again 4 o'clock in the morning, and I am wide awake. The best night's sleep I ever had has been in your arms, and now it is what I require in order to enjoy sleep. I now no longer have nightmares. Now, as always, I dream of you. Only my dreams of you get me through these endless, cold nights in space. I long to kiss you, to touch you, to hold you in my arms and to love you. I dream of all these things, and it offers me some solace, though my dreams never compare to being with you in person. But I have heard whispers that I may be granted another meditative leave again. I only hope it is true, especially after the harrowing experiences as of late. One interesting thing that I must tell you is that I just visited one of the moons of Iago. Yes, it is a real place, and they are indeed ruled by beings that are revered as angels. While I suppose that they were beautiful in their own right, they are nothing compared to you, my angel. I guess that makes you Queen of the Angels. I told you that you were the most beautiful woman in the galaxy. Now you have to believe me, for I have proof. Sometimes I wonder how I even get through these long months of separation. But then I realize I am doing this all for us, and that makes me stronger. Your love makes me stronger and gives me the will to fight. I miss you more than I can put into words, and I long to be with you. Unfortunately for now, my love, I must go. Obi-Wan will be meeting with the Council this morning. Pray that we are ordered to return to Coruscant, and not sent on another mission. I hope to see you soon. Stay safe, my angel. Love, Anakin. Okay, R2, I need this transmitted to Padme. Anakin told the faithful little droid, as he fed the data card into his slot. R2 whirled as he rolled to the control panel on the wall, quickly working and accomplishing this important and secret task for his master and mistress. He whirled with an upbeat tone when he had finished. Thanks, buddy. Anakin said, patting his domed head. With that task being accomplished, Anakin proceeded to clean up, dress, and make his way to the mess hall. "Good morning, Rex," Anakin said as he spotted the clone commander and a few of his brothers. "Good morning, sir," Rex replied. "Good morning, General Skywalker," the other clones said as they stood and saluted. "At ease, men," Anakin replied, putting his hand up. He was glad that Rex no longer jumped with every salute every time he entered the room. And it was for that good reason that Rex had become very close friends. Anakin spotted his young Padawan at a table with a meal tray. She yawned deeply as Anakin approached. "Oh, hello, Master," she said sleepily. "Morning, sleepyhead," he quipped as he went to get his own meal tray. "I'll never understand how you are so awake at 5 a.m, Master," she replied. He smirked. "Well, I've always been an early riser, even before I became a Jedi," Anakin replied. "You mean when you used to live on Tatooine?" Ahsoka asked. Anakin looked up at her. "Yes. Being that Tatooine has 2 suns, by 10 a.m. it's already very hot. So the ideal time to get the bulk of any work done is in the early morning hours. At night, after the sunset, it's nearly 9 p.m, and it can be dangerous and a very cold place at night, especially in the open desert," Anakin explained. "You won a pod race, didn't you?" she asked. Anakin looked up at her suspiciously. "Who have you been talking to?" he asked. "Master Obi-Wan told me that you are the only human who can do it. He said you've not only lived through one, but you won," she replied. "I did. I completed and won the Boonta Eve Classic when I was 9 years old. But why all the roundabout questions? You know you can ask me directly about, and I'll answer almost anything," he replied. "I know. I'm sorry, Master. It's just that some of the other Padawans talk, and they've said things about you," Ahsoka said. "What kind of things?" Anakin inquired. "It's silly. I can't stand Sasha Ko. She's always spouting all kinds of vicious things against people." And Ahsoka sighed in frustration. "Well, the impressions are left on a Padawan are often opinions of their masters. And Master Pablo Jill has never been very fond of me," Anakin told her. "Master Jill doesn't like you? But why?" Ahsoka asked. "Well, he didn't think I should be trained. A lot of the masters agreed with him. I didn't come to the temple until I was 9 years old. Most thought I was too old to begin training. But then most accepted the decision eventually. However, Master Jill and several others have a particularly strong dislike for me that goes beyond me being too old to train," Anakin explained. "But isn't it wrong for them to dislike you, especially for something that isn't your fault?" Ahsoka asked. "Yes, it's not the Jedi way. Now, I am far from perfect myself. Master Jill thinks I am too emotional to be a good Jedi, and in some ways, perhaps he is correct. I have trouble controlling my emotions in the past, and it will be something I will always struggle with. That being said, my strong emotions make me who I am," Anakin told her. Ahsoka nodded. "Master, Sasha says you used to be..." Ahsoka began to ask, but she found it hard to say this particular word around her master. "A slave," he responded. She looked at him and instantly looked ashamed. "It's okay, Snips. I was born a slave, and though it took me a very long time, I've come to terms with it, even though I couldn't help the situation I was born into. People like Sasha are usually insecure about themselves, and so when they see people that are exceptional, like you, or me perhaps, due to my unusually high midichlorian count, she uses it as an opportunity to put those people down in order to make herself feel better about herself. Master Jill is a very detached master, almost cold if you will. That's why she probably craves attention that she does. I'm different, and I believe in building relationships with the people around you. It very well may be that Sasha is jealous of you," he said. Really?" she asked. "Most likely," he replied as he finished eating. "I have to go and meet with the council. Finish up, and I'll join you for your meditation later," he told her. She nodded. "Thanks, Master," she replied, feeling much better after their talk. Padme arrived at home that evening, tired, frazzled, and defeated after another long day of arguing with a bunch of narrow-minded, warmongering delegates. They didn't want the war to end. It was far too lucrative for them. And many were too scared to stand up for those in favour of continuing the Chancellor's emergency powers. Threats to bring harm to her were nothing new. There were dozens in the Senate who would love to see her put in her place. Dozens that would be delighted to see her hurt, or even hurt her themselves. And many more that would like to see her dead. In the past, she had vowed to fight them, even if the cost was her life. But things had changed. She would still fight for what she believed in. But now she had much more to live for. So much more. A husband and a future with him. And that's why the threats wore on her and frightened her. For she wanted a future with her beloved. She felt a couple of tears slide down her cheeks, and she furiously wiped them away. She had told herself she wasn't going to cry again. There were too many nights when she had cried herself to sleep. She had never imagined that being separated from him would be so excruciating. After undressing and put on a shimmer silk nightgown, she opened her bedside table. He hadn't been able to send a message to her for a few weeks. But tonight it was blinking. He had sent her a message. With no amount of restraint, she plopped down on the bed and used her inscription key to decode the message before hungrily reading his words of love. The letter from earlier is in here, so you can go back and listen to that if you want, but I'm not repeating it again. Padme clutched the data pad to her heart chest as she swooned, her husband's words swimming in her heart. He could always make her troubles and worries melt away, even when he wasn't there. And with any luck, she would be seeing him soon. Miss Padme, is there anything you require before I shut down for the evening? 3PO asked. No, 3PO. I'm fine, Padme replied with contentment. Dooku stared down at the wriggling, crying infant. The Kamini-Owens had been true to their words. The child was now at full term, and just for a moment, this was a grim reminder of just how viciously evil and heartless Darth Sidious really was. This child would not have a choice. He had been robbed from two people that would have shown him more love than most can imagine. But Dooku would do as he had been ordered. The child would grow inhumanly fast into a man, and he would be a Sith engineered to know nothing but evil, cruelty, anger, and mercilessness. The son of Skywalker and Amidala would destroy the Jedi and the Republic, making way for a grand new empire to rise and rule with an iron fist. Things with the Council had gone just as Anakin hoped, and now they were back on Coruscant for a 3-day leave. Ahsoka sulked next to him as he walked her to the Padawan barracks. Cheer up, Snips. It's good for you to interact with other kids your age. It's not very often that I agree with the Council, but they are right about this, Anakin told her. Easy for you to say, Master. Staying in the barracks is like being put in a den of hungry Nexu, Ahsoka complained. I didn't fit in either when I was your age, but you'll get through it. I know it's hard not to let them get to you, but it's all a part of growing up. Believe me, I wish I was as level-headed as you are when I was your age. Ahsoka chuckled. Yeah, so does Master Obi-Wan, Ahsoka teased. Very funny, Snips, Anakin retorted as they arrived. Well, well, if it isn't the great General Skywalker and his Padawan. To what do Sasha and I owe this honour, O great hero with no fear? Pablo Gil said sarcastically, picking up on the unnerving nickname that the HoloNet had given him. His Padawan, Sasha Ko, a female of the same race as him, stood to his side. In the past, Anakin had lost his temper with Master Jill, only furthering the other Jedi's opinion that he was unfit to be a Jedi. But Anakin had learned not to give Pablo Jen what he wanted anymore. Master Jill, Master Anakin said, bowing curtly. Ahsoka begrudgingly followed her master's example. I was just dropping Ahsoka here. As per the Council's orders, we're on meditative leave, Anakin said with an even tone. Yes, well, no amount of meditation will ever keep that temper of yours in check. But I suppose the Council is obligated to keep you in line, Jill retorted. Master Skywalker is a great master, Ahsoka insisted hotly, but Anakin put his hand on her shoulder, halting her tirade. It's okay, Ahsoka, he told her. It is no surprise that your Padawan has a sharp tongue, just like our master. I'll never understand the council's decision to let you mould an impressionable young one. Pablo Jill sprouted while Sasha gave Ahsoka a smug look. Anakin clenched his fist but released his anger into the Force. I'm sorry that you feel that way, Master Jill. Now if you'll excuse me. Anakin replied with a polite bow. I'll see you in a couple of days, Snips, he told her as he quietly walked away. It was a new and unprecedented occurrence where Anakin Skywalker ever walked away from a conflict, especially one where verbal attacks were personal, and it made her master 10 times the man that Pablo Jill was. With a greater respect for her master, she entered the barracks. If Master Skywalker could keep his temper in check, then so could she. Padme carried her datapads on the way back to her office in another counterproductive session. Oh, Padme! There you are! Senator Kyla Manara called. Padme cringed and begrudgingly turned around to meet her. Senator Manara, she greeted with a curt nod. Padme, this is my nephew Gavin. Kyla introduced. Padme repressed an eye roll. Senator Amidala, it is an honor to finally meet you. You are even more beautiful in person, Gavin said smoothly. That is kind of you to say. It was nice meeting you. But if you'll excuse me, I must be going. Padme replied. Just a moment. You were wondering if you would like to accompany us to the opera this evening. Kyla said, Yes, it would be my personal honor if you would allow me to escort you. Gavin added, No, thank you. I must decline. Padme replied shortly as she stalked towards her office. The door slid open and her breath caught in her throat as her husband stood inside. As the door slid closed behind her, she dropped everything in her arms and ran to him. He caught her in his arms and spun her around. I've missed you so much, she cried before capturing his lips in a passionate kiss. I've missed you too, my angel, he whispered as he held her tight. How long is your leave? She asked. 3 days, so we won't be able to go to Naboo this time, he replied. She nodded. It doesn't matter. I don't care where we are as long as we're together, she said. He agreed and lowered his lips to hers again. Many passionate, feverish kisses later, they pulled apart. Let's go home, she suggested. He nodded. I'll sneak back and down and out the garage. Wait a few minutes and follow me down, he instructed. She nodded, watching him go with a dreamy stare on her face. She quickly picked the items that she had dropped up, which were strewn on the floor, and put them on her desk, before hurrying out. She let no one stop her along the way and rendezvoused with her husband at his speeder, before they headed home together for a romantic session. End of chapter. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed that, because I did. Wow, I really like Ahsoka and Anakin being family in this. I always saw her as more a little sister to him, but if he sort of adopts her as a pseudo-daughter figure, that works for me too. Like, I'll take that happily. And I really like that he's learning to control his temper. As much as Anakin will always be a bit of a hothead, you do have to learn how to rein in that anger at times. And, of course, Padme and him being cute. Because what can you do? This is a very fluffy fic. And I'm sorry if I didn't repeat the letter, guys. I need to keep my throat from hurting when reading these chapters to maintain the quality of what I do. I'm sorry if I sounded a bit short in that little thing I did. I was just wanting to get past it to get to the other scenes. That's all. Anyway, have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye, my guys, gals, and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Bye!